What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Honest Tattooer. And this week, we have another awesome episode for you guys. My name is John Mesa, and I'm joined by my homie, Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
And our very special guest, Koral.
Good evening.
Glad to have you here. You're so nice. Anyways, for people that don't know you, let them know your name, where you're from, what kind of tattoos you do, and how long you've been tattooing.
My name is Koral Ladna, and I'm originally from Ukraine. I tattoo in a style that's a little bit modern and avant-garde. It's called cosmic colorism. And I tattoo here in New York. My studio is in Uptown Manhattan and Midtown, actually. And I've been tattooing for almost 7 years.
Nice.
What did you call it? Cosmic what?
Cosmic colorism.
Cosmic colorism. I'd never heard of that before.
Exactly, because
she defined it.
Did you make it? Did you invent that?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
I think that's the best way. It's like when we had Jess Valentine here, she called her style bubblegum traditional.
That's right.
I love her style.
Yeah, it's cute. It's bubblegum.
What does Lalo call his stuff?
Oh, fuck.
Magic realism.
Magic realism.
That's right.
You guys are fucking wizards. Just fucking wizards making names up. This is great.
But I think that, as an artist, you have a voice, right? Everybody has a unique voice as an artist. So in a way, it's like you have to make your own name for what you do because
there's nothing else like it, Right.
I mean, if that's what you connect to, if there's a style that exists out there that you connect to, was great. But if there isn't, then all art is subjective and different and unique. So might as well make up your own name.
I agree. I think
is that like making up your own nickname though? That's not cool.
I mean, we all kind of did. I mean, some people did when they started their their Instagram names and they're like, they're having their new name, I feel like I'm one of those tattoo artists that I was a tattooer first and foremost. When I started tattooing, I still didn't have an art form that I was like, oh, this is what my art looks like. And as I progressed through tattooing, I found things that I connected with. And then that slowly changed. There were things that I liked. And then when I first started tattooing, I wanted to do black and gray realism.
Oh my God, me too.
That's what I wanted to do. And what I do now, it's nowhere near that. And your work, it's not black and gray realism at all,
Absolutely. I think we all start at a starting point, but then I don't know, for me, ultimately my clients decided my style for me.
Yes.
And is that what happened for you also?
I feel like it started with doing tattoos, seeing how they healed and what they looked like. And then I would adjust and through time, you'd start kind of varying things. And then eventually I just connected with once I was already in love with tattooing, I started really connecting with bolder designs. And I started doing more neo-traditional. And then it's eventually after I read Shige's book and just heard his story and they got obsessed with Philip Liu and all that stuff. That's when Japanese tattooing just took over of what I really wanted to do and wanted to, kind of pursue.
Yeah, I don't think that it's kind of when you start tattooing, you right away find what you love. I think it's kind of you have to look for it. It's a journey.
Yeah.
So I think some people, I don't know, some people are oh, you know what, I fell in love with traditional and that's where they go right from the beginning. But some people it's kind of you start at one point and you wind up, completely in a different place. And I think it depends ultimately on you, what you fall in love with, but also if you have the clientele to support that, if you have the interest in that, because without that, it's impossible. It has to be this cross section of the demand plus what you're good at and what you fall in love with, because you have to be passionate about it.
I think that's huge. Demand is huge in tattooing because if you have a product, right, and nobody wants to buy it, why would you keep making that damn product? It makes no sense at all. So when I see sometimes tattooers that just keep cranking the same shit over and over and ain't nobody buying, bro. No one's buying. It sucks. That probably sucks. Nobody's buying it, dude. Maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board, try something new. I think it's crazy when I see tattooers that were doing biomech for a long time and then was cut this out. I'm going to do something else completely new because it takes balls to just completely start from scratch.
Yeah. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
I think it's cool when tattooers allow the style to find them.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened to me. I had no idea what neo-traditional was when I first started tattooing. Mm-hmm. And over just trial and error, figuring out what works for me, what people like, I kind of slowly got into the style of where I'm at right now, but I had no idea what it was. I had no interest in doing the thing that I'm doing now. I grew to like it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I did because it's popular. People like it and it looks good. So, but it's not like I sought out after the style that I'm working at right now.
Yeah. It's funny. The other day I was doing like a Q&A on my, on my Instagram, and somebody asked me like, what's your favorite medium to work on outside of tattooing? And my answer was like, my second medium is bigger mags. like, that's literally it. Like, I mean, like to me, tattooing that's it, man. Like doing art form, like, and I'll be iPad. I'm an iPad guy. I'm like, if I'm going to draw something, I'm probably going to draw it on my iPad. Like I used to paint and I used to do things like that and I used to enjoy it, but then it got to a point where it gave me more stress and it gave me more like, you know, I don't know. It was more stressful, like to commit like for hours and hours on a painting and then feeling like I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So like grueling. I didn't enjoy it anymore.
I could appreciate that. I've been recently watching a lot of more videos on YouTube of people just drawing in their sketch pads and talking about their process.
Yeah.
And I just asked Nicole, I was like, buy me a nice sketchbook for Christmas. Cause I want to start actually drawing. Cause I actually was telling her about the thing that you were saying where you want to have a nice sketchbook to pass down to Leo.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of want to do that too. And I've been watching people talking about their drawing process. And now I'm excited to start drawing on paper again.
Yeah.
Because also, side note too, like I feel like my eyes are all fucked up from looking at screens all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So I want to break from that. Just draw on paper, just chill out, let my eyes rest for a little while.
It's a different experience completely, like drawing on paper than drawing on a screen. But right now, in this point in my life, my career and everything, I'm fine with it. You know, like I don't feel like I have to like. I'm not trying to be a fine artist, guys. I like to be a tattooer and I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm not trying to be a fine artist, not trying to sell a bunch of paintings. That is not what I want my career to be. I want to model, you know, and I want to do cool tattoos that I enjoy, that like I can connect with my clients. Like that's the part where I get my rocks off. That's what like makes me feel good and happy. Yeah. And I've grown happy with that.
I think it's a very different process because I think that it's obviously doing it its own art form, different from painting, drawing, etc. And it's interesting that you say that like it used to give you more stress because the reality is if you have a sketchbook, if you have canvas, whatever you have, it's kind of endless, right? You can keep going back to the canvas, you can keep going back to the sketchbook, to the same drawing, and you keep pushing it. With the tattoo, there is a start and a finish.
Yes.
I mean, of course, if you want to like, I don't know, make the client come back, but it's not the same. There's a start and a finish and you have a final product and you're either happy with it or you're not versus a painting or drawing, which is kind of endless. I mean, you can just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. That's really, you know, what we know about art and the way art is always formed. And it's endless in the sense of you can always push yourself and make yourself better, but within a given piece, like, you know, if you look at any great painting, I mean, they weren't done in like, you know, one night. They were all done in
years sometimes,
decades sometimes.
And a lot of times, you know, like a painter would start a painting and then not finish that painting and start another one. And then they would work on multiple paintings at one given time because, man, it's like even like in a tattoo, you know, there's times that you're working a tattoo for so long and you're like, man, I want to step away from this, you know? And you're like, we need to cut this out because my brain is kind of fried from this right now. I need to feel fresh again. And I think like in painting, the biggest difference between painting and tattooing, it's the person. I really do like having the interaction with somebody when I'm tattooing them and talking to them and giving them some, even when people are like, oh man, just love your work, do whatever you want. I'm still going to like poke around and figure out what it is that you like about my work so I can still give you something that you still want. And then when it's just like, oh, just draw something for myself. I'm like, what?
That's because like drawing for yourself or being an artist, that's the difference. For me, tattooing was never, it's complicated. But like I was not drawn to tattooing because I wanted to be an artist. I have like design background. I went to school for architecture. So for me, tattooing is a lot more similar to design because as an artist, you're solving your own problems, the problems you create in your head. as a designer, you're solving everybody else's creative problems. And in tattooing, we're solving other people's problems. So really we're designers. Like we're working with people. Like half of it, it's not like our vision, it's the client's vision, taking your understanding, your artistic, creativity, talent, and, taking their vision and putting it through the prism of your perception. But the reality is that you're making art on demand. So it's a very different mindset than being a fine artist. So I totally understand and connect to that vision of being like, well, I just want to do tattoos. I'm not a fine artist. Some tattooers are fine artists first and foremost. Some see it like the way that you do, like as a tattooer. For me, I see it as a designer. I see it like, for me, very important, that relationship with the client, to talk to them. Like every single client I speak to, it's like first I chat with them and then we have this like creative call where I'm like, okay, tell me the background story of this tattoo. And they're like, well, I just want a portrait of, my dog. Why? But why? Tell me, like, why? What is the connection? What do you feel? And I kind of take all this information, I tailor it into a design, which is very modernist and maybe minimalist, but there's a backstory, and I choose certain colors based on that. Whether there's like more tension or more calmness in that piece reflects like both their energy and like the story they're trying to tell. So for me, it's like very important taking this information, kind of translating it into almost like a diagrammatic illustration, not like a literal illustration of like, well, this is this and this is this from the story that you told me, but like more like almost a diagrammatic, symbolic way. So it's like creating this language based on the story they're telling. So for me, like that interaction, same like for you, is incredibly important. Without that, I cannot create. If you just tell me do whatever you want, like, I mean, that's fun too, but that's different.
Yeah. I love that so much because to me, it's the exact opposite. Like I respect everything that you do. And I love that you have like this intimate conversation and you figure out with me, I'm like, what do you want? Cool. I'll see you in 6 months.
I'll see you in 6 months, bro. I have like a drawing there for you.
Honest Tattooer is brought to you by Ink Maps, the ultimate tattoo app for tattooers. Upload your image and instantly read dominant colors and get precise color matches for any tattoo ink brand. You can mix colors, see how they look on your client's skin tone, and even explore value isolation and stencil creation. Compare brands, dive into color properties, and achieve perfect color harmony every time. Import your palettes into Procreate and Photoshop, plus conveniently attach projects to clients for future reference. You can simplify your tattoo process with Ink Maps. Download now and revolutionize your artistry. Use coupon code HONESTTattooer for 50% off your first year subscription. Honest Tattooer is also brought to you by Tattoo Armor, literally the best way to wrap your client at the end of the day. No mess, no adhesives, and they are super comfortable. You can try it for yourself by going to tattooarmorusa.com. They were able to hook us up with a 20% discount for our followers. Just use the code HONESTTattooer on your next order.
Introducing the Tattooer Health Club, your secret weapon for longevity in the tattoo industry. If you felt the toll tattooing takes on your body, the pain, tingling, or numbness, you're not alone. Founder Jordan is a tattoo ergonomics and therapy expert with nearly a decade of experience. He's pulling back the curtain on our broken healthcare system to empower you with knowledge. So say goodbye to dismissive doctors and gain the confidence to care for yourself. Join the club, access Jordan's free book and customized warm-up routine. It's for serious tattooers, and don't miss the Ergonomic and Therapy Secrets Masterclass. It's time to prioritize your health and set yourself apart in this evolving industry. Get started today at the Tattooer Health Club and let your ink shine.
That's right. Use coupon code HONESTTattooer to get 10% off your warm-up routine or your self-paced masterclass.
I have like 2 consultations with each client. I mean, I have a different way to work. Like it's crazy, but like I'll have the first conversation, the second, I need to hear their voice. I need to see them on video. I need to kind of read them as a person.
Yeah.
And when they come in, like I always nail it. And they're like, how did you always, this is such a complex design. How did you nail it? I'm like, well, I listened to you.
I've been reading you little by little. I've been
analyzing you. But that's a big part of it. I know for me, it is that relationship that you create, that bond that you create. The person comes, they trust in you with something so important. Like you have to give them that space. And, you know, the part of my style is that. It's that not just the actual style itself. It's this whole process.
I think that's why people like getting tattooed by females. I'm not like that being insulted. I think it's true. Like you put that extra love and care into who it is that you're tattooing. I don't think a lot of guys do that. I
like, for example, like my process, people email and they send, you know, everything that they're kind of looking to get and a couple of pictures, ideas, etc. And the way that I do my consultations now, they're always either by the phone, either through FaceTime, we're going to see each other eye to eye, whatever, or we're just going to talk on the phone. And it can be anything from, some of them are like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Some of them are 5-minute conversations, and some of them we're on the phone for like almost half an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It really depends on a case by case kind of thing. You know, I've had people where someone had a loved one pass away. That's a longer conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it just,
Absolutely.
they're telling you their feelings of how this happened, you know, what happened, where they were in the moment, where all these, there's so much more there. And for those tattoos, I want to hear all those things, because then that gets my brain going and seeing how can I illustrate this so it's not just like a very boring, direct, like memorial tattoo. Like, how can I capture that emotion that this person is trying to get? But if somebody was like, bro, I want a sick dragon on my arm, I'm like, tight, let's do it. Where, how big, send that photo, done. You know, like that's a 5-minute conversation, you know? Most of my tattoos that I have on my body could be like 5-minute conversation tattoos, because I'm purely just on like the visual. There's not a lot of like emotional shit tied to it.
Yeah.
That's everyone different. Everybody looking for different thing from a tattoo, right? And about the memorial tattoos or tattoos like that, I think that, you know, obviously saying things out loud is how we heal. So putting things on your body is how we heal too. So for a lot of people, it does subconsciously or consciously have a certain therapeutic quality. There's a catharsis to tattoos. We know that, you know. So I just, in my case, with the style that I do, I just try to give them that platform for whatever it is they're trying to communicate or heal or deal with. I think that a lot of clients that gravitate towards the type of work I do are like very emotionally complex, and like there is like a lot going on. And if there isn't, I try to make them just be conscious of like, you know, you putting something on your body. So you're going to see it every day. So if it's a negative thing, you're going to be reminded of that negative thing every day. So how can we reframe that, you know, how can we reframe to make it positive? Something that's going to be inspiring to you and empowering rather than these negative thing, you know? So I try to have these conversations. I try to push people to think about what they put on their body, why, and like really question themselves. So it's more of like a deeper journey. But I think that like it's personal. Like I think it depends on the client. I've definitely had 5-minute conversations of like, well, no, I just wanted to look cool. Okay, let's do something beautiful. But well, what concept do you want to emulate? Like, I don't know. I try to deepen people's experiences. I think it's just my personality. And I think a lot of the clients that I work with are drawn to that. So it works. I understand that not everyone has that, you know, vision of what tattooing, of like that the tattooing is that for them.
I do think that does add value to their tattoo.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like the more that it's like, even when you do like a tattoo that's just purely a visually cool tattoo, especially when it comes to like Japanese tattooing, you know, but you tell somebody, they're like, oh man, I've seen these like Hanya masks. They look cool. And then you explain to them like the history behind it. And then they're like, think this is actually way cooler, you know, like there's a whole story behind this, you know? And like, that's one of the things that attracted me to Japanese tattooing, just that all of the symbols and all these things have really cool stories behind them. And like, I love the folklore. I love scary ghost stories, like all that stuff, like really, it just makes tattoos cooler to me. And I think like finding a way to pull that out of your client, it's an art form on its own, because some of us don't got it.
No, I definitely don't. Do you choose your color palette based on the mood of your client?
Absolutely. Yep. That's why I need to like read people, because I mean, color has, so every color has like an energy, right? There's been studies, you know, scientific studies, psychological studies that like certain colors have certain, you know, make people feel certain emotions, feel calm, more stressed out, etc. You know, things like that. So there's certain things that are tied to colors, or for certain individuals, certain colors, they feel certain things with that color. That's very individual. So for me, it depends on that. Sometimes it's about choosing like a certain set of colors. Sometimes it's about creating more visual tension versus creating something that is more serene. Mm-hmm. It has to do with like, really like what secondary story we're trying to tell. So it's like there's one story which is in the subject matter, and the secondary story is in the color. And a lot of it I try to do like to create a certain mood, to create a certain feeling or whatever, if it's super colorful or limited color. So it's all there's kind of like a certain language symbolism behind all the way that I deconstruct the work as well. Like, so
I think like color can create such a mood. And it's funny because like, you know, people will be like, oh, I'm feeling blue, you know, but nobody says I'm feeling yellow because I'm happy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like to me, yellow is such a like a happy feeling color. I love to put it in tattoos, like in the right spots. And it just feels like.
There was a video I was watching the other day. It was about color theory and using certain colors to portray the message that you're trying to portray. And they were, before they explained why certain colors were being used, this one designer, he was showing, man, that's so fucking,
Oh my God, dude. Jesus.
This one designer showed a couple of different flyers and logos and stuff like that. So he would show the same design in black and white in 3 different spots. And then he would put the different colors over it. It's like, so this is what it looks like in black and white. Here's it with this color. Here's it with this color palette. Here's it with this color palette. And then based on what the brand is, he would ask you, what do you think is the right color palette for this particular brand? So the first one that he showed was a gym. It was like a workout flyer. And it was a yellow palette, it was a red palette, and it was a green palette. And to me, the red one looked fucking awesome. And I was like, man, I would go to the red one. And he was like, you're not going to use the red one. You're going to use the yellow one because the yellow portrays energy and like good.
For sure.
And so I fucked it up so bad. And all the other ones that he brought off the screen, I got them all wrong. I was like, man, my concept of what color should go where is so fucked up.
It's
That's what I mean. Like there's general rules and then there's individual kind of exceptions. And there are people who are like, no, for me, like the color that makes me feel good is red, which is the color that usually is like
total opposite.
Yeah. It's like anger and stress.
Yeah. Like having a red room and being in a red room for a long time can generate like stress, trauma, feelings of anxiety. But that's like a color that's also powerful. And it depends how you use it, the amount that you use, you know, and it's also what color is next to it. Because I'll have clients who'll be like, I love your style. I love all the colors. I hate orange. I want it to be mostly blue. And I'm like, well, yeah, but putting that little bit of orange is going to make that blue so much more rich and powerful.
Yep.
So sometimes it's not even the color, but what you put next to it, because everything is tension. Because that's another thing. One of the things I try to always convey is like the energy, right? We have this vital energy, existence and all that. And all of it has to do with like reaction. So what color you put next to the other color, that's like a chemical reaction. So it's like a way to also like denote, you know, energy, you know, vitality, something that I want everyone to have when they lead the, you know, when they get the tattooed, I want their life to go better. So like that tension that we create with color, it gives person like this, I don't know, like you say about happy, right? Yellow makes happy, but like having a complementary color next to yellow is going to make that yellow stronger. So it's like life, you know, having people around you that push you and make you, you know, kind of push you or challenge you, makes you stronger. It's the same with color. So it's the same with people's energy. So I try to, I don't know, put this like hidden message in their tattoos.
Yeah, like a color can neutralize another color, you know, and bring it down and so can people. People can bring you the fuck down. Or they can uplift you and make you feel like, oh man, I feel like I can go get this. I feel like I can just like conquer the world. Like when this people like motivate you, you know? I always think it's wild like how like Michael Jordan, one of the greatest ever, right? He was so motivated by Phil Jackson as a coach that when Phil said, I'm going to retire, he's like, well, I'm not playing anymore. Because he was like, I feel so motivated and so connected to the way that this person leads me. It makes me want to play more, better, you know, and all that stuff. And I think like everybody that, you know, if you've gone to school or had a professor that like, man, the way that they talk to me really helped me and motivated me to go. Finding a group of peers that can bring that out of you is one of the best things that you can find.
So side note, because you just talked about going to school and professors and all that, made me think of this. Last week, was it last week? Yeah. With Adam here.
Yeah.
I talked about a life lesson I learned in college. And there is a guy in the comment section that was trying to rip me apart, be like, oh yeah, well you went to college. Well, I was like, what the fuck? He was like, you shouldn't talk about going to college because not everyone is privileged enough like you to be able to. I was like,
here, dude.
People started ripping on him. Like, oh, you're such a fucking loser, dude. He wound up deleting the comment. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, what do you have? Sorry. That made me think of that.
No, fuck that guy.
No, not sorry to him. Sorry to him.
Yeah. Oh man, that's wild. People get mad over the dumbest things.
They really do.
Yeah, man. Just don't comment. Just keep scrolling, dude. It's not worth it. So you opened up a studio. Opening up a studio is always a lot of work.
Yes, I'm sure you know firsthand.
Yes. And at the same time, you have a baby. How are you managing? How are you not going crazy?
How old is your baby?
My baby's 2 years and like 3 months. So yeah, it's been absolutely completely crazy. I mean, I think I haven't stopped since I got home from Ink Master. And it's just been, having a studio is like something really magical, right? Because you have this vision of how you want it, your vision, your philosophy of tattooing, etc. Like it's something that is, I think, as an artist, easy to get lost in your art. So when you're going to create a space that supports your art, it's like so easy to, completely have it consume you. And it's been like that, but it's been one of the most rewarding experiences I have had. Our studio has been open for just about a month. I opened it with my business partner, Emmanuel Fortunato. He's a realist tattooer. We used to work together in a previous studio. So we just kind of had this vision that was a little bit different of like how we wanted the space to be. And it's very much like that, very client centered. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, like facilitate this space that really gives the client liberty to express themselves fully and have it be like something that's unique, elite, but at the same time accessible, and create like a space that will be kind of cater that client-centered experience, and to give them like the way that I work. He works very similarly to me, where like it's a lot of that process of like listening to the client, getting their story. It's very similar. He works completely different than me, does realism, but it's still like that process of like, okay, I want to hear you. This is your space. Please talk to me, and I want to make, like, let's make art together. That's kind of like the concept of the studio, like that we're not there just to like, okay, I'm going to make art, I'm the artist. Like, no, it's like the client is part of the process. Like we're going to make this piece and this is going to be our piece of art. So that's kind of the concept of the studio. The studio name is Fortune and Love, and we're on 35th and 5th.
Is it just the two of you?
Right. We're the founders, but right now we are tattooing there, and we're going to have some artists going to join us, probably some guest artists as well. We're just kind of still in the opening stages. So it's been kind of like designing the entire interior design, painting, everything that you do initially. So I think we did the initial build out so we could start tattooing in a week.
Yeah.
Which was like insane.
Man, so when No Idols first opened, like we were tattooing in there as soon as the seat lease was signed. We were like in there with nothing. It was just people on corners and nothing at all. And it's funny because I have pictures of that still, and it's like, it's crazy to think about it. And even like No Idols now, like I remember when this started, it was completely different than what it is now. It was a freaking pink. Everything was pink in this building. Everything. Even the counter was a different tone, which is wild.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. This was stained.
This was stained. Yeah. It was like, I think it was painted black.
It was painted black.
It was painted black.
It's still all black over here.
On the other side, yeah. So we got it out, but the wood ends looks much better.
I think studios kind of evolve with you too, right? Like you change, your vision changes, so the interior design changes, the way the lights are changes, the way the countertop changes.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Like back when I worked at a street shop, I wanted to work at like a shop where it was like custom, and I didn't want any flash anywhere. And then like as time has passed, my taste has gone back to like, oh, I really enjoyed, and I think it comes from like the memories, all the good memories that I have of like working at a street shop when I was tattooing, just people would come in on the street with like those, first artists that I worked with. And like when I was like starting out and learning, because like my passion was, I was so hungry to learn, and I feel like if you can capture that passion when you're first starting out, after you've been doing it for like, in my case, for like 17 years, I want to feel like that now. I want to feel just as hungry now as I did then, because that's the only way that I will continue to get better.
Absolutely. I think that's important to always try to go to that place where like why you fell in love with tattooing, when you were most passionate about it, and really like focus on that, because it's easy just keep doing the same thing and like not look for something more. And I've seen tattooers fall into that where they just plateau and they're like, okay, I'm here, and you stop growing. And I think that's our responsibility to constantly put ourselves in a place where there's a certain level of uncertainty. And I think Flash, especially, I think Flash does that, where like you're constantly like in walk-ins, right? Like you have that energy of like reacting and everything's a surprise. I think that's really beautiful. I think walk-in shops are like a magical place. I mean, I started in one as well. So it's really something.
Man, I love doing like a walk-in every now and then, and we'll just talk or whatever. And then then they realize after a bit or they're like a little more conversation, they're like, oh man, this guy doesn't really do that many walk-ins. And then you can tell that they feel like, oh, this was special. This is sick, and they're so stoked, especially when it's like the last walk-in that I did a space galaxy kind of thing.
As a walk-in?
As a walk-in, dude. So this customer came in and she had a white tattoo and it was like a symbol in Arabic, like an Arabic symbol in all white. And she's like, yeah, I've had this for a while and I kind of just want to have this like space, like background on it. And I want to keep the white on that. And I could see it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that'll be cool. I told her that'll take like maybe almost 3.5, 4 hours possibly. And she was like, okay, I'm down.
What, did you have a cancellation that day?
I think I came in and I did like a small tattoo and I just finished it pretty fast. One of the walking guys talked to her first and they were like, space? Nah. And I was like, well, I just finished up. I was like, I can do it for you. And then Joe was here during that time, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was on the day that, the first day that Joe was here. You were off that day.
Yeah.
And, I did that and I had a good time doing it. She was just visiting from out of town. And overall, it was fun for me to do. She had a good experience. And she was like, oh my God, the studio was great. I want to come back to it. That's all it takes. Just do that a bunch of times in your career and you'll have a long one. So something we haven't done in a while. What did you work on this week?
So today, let's see, I'm trying to remember. Since I work so many days, it all blends together. So I can tell you what I did today.
What did you do today?
Usually my day started 5 a.m. because that's when my son wakes up. So I usually have really long days.
Oh my God. I went to sleep 2 hours before that.
Sometimes it happens to me too, but usually because I'm tattooing till that time. It's like my classical night will be I finish tattooing at 2. By the time we take pictures, it's 3 a.m, get home by 3:30. My son gets up at 5.
Wow.
Wow. Man, I got so lucky. My kids wake up at 7:30, 8.
You're going to give me the handbook later, right?
You know what you do? Because I did this with my dogs also. And I learned from my dogs, when they wake up and it's early and they want you to get up, just ignore them.
Just pretend
and they'll go back to sleep.
They're like, I guess we're not ready. That's pretty good.
I don't know if I can do that. No, today I'm working on so I had an out-of-town client and it was one of those things where I had a cancellation earlier in the week, double back-to-back project, big project cancellation. So I had to reshuffle everything. So I had one client who emailed me and it was like, I want these dates. And I was like, actually, I can get you in because I have a cancellation. So she's coming from out of town, a few states over, and she okay, this week, no problem. I'm going to take off of work and I'm coming and I'm dying to get tattooed by you. I thought I would have to wait months. Thank you so much. And it's just right away when a client comes like that, you're like, okay, I want to make this really special for you because obviously this is important for you. So she came and she wanted a tattoo of her dog. It was a dog portrait. And it was one of those things, well, why? I mean, I understand why your pets are important to you, but she's like, no, I've always had I've always had these type of dogs. And this is this is so important for me. And it's this, connection, right?
Yeah.
My best friend. And, so I was like, okay, great. I want to do something for you really special. And this is one of those very simple, shorter conversations. And I told her, I was like, well, how do you feel about what colors do you connect with? What makes you feel calm? What makes you feel peace? Because that's the feeling that you get from having these pets in your life. Well, and she thought about the colors and we discussed making this color palette that was blue, right? Because blue is a color I feel a lot of people connect with as being serene, as being peaceful. So we make these, color block style cosmic colorist portrait of her pet Chihuahua.
Cool.
So when she bring the Chihuahua with her to the session, and her husband was there, because our space, a big part of it is so people can bring a friend, and we have special space where the friends or family members can sit and hang out. We build this platform, wood platform. We have a big window like this, and we have view of Empire State Building. So we build this platform so that if somebody comes with a family member, they can sit there or take a nap or meditate or whatever they want to do. So we create this space where it's really immersive experience. So there was like that, like calm her husband with their puppy and like,
I don't think I've ever met a calm Chihuahua in my life, dude.
it was the calmest Chihuahua ever. He didn't bark one time.
That's wild. They're the
Incredible.
barkiest dogs ever. They think like they're big people, and they're like, always. But
No, I got lucky. Otherwise, I would have been like, wait, no, but like, you know. But it was like today was a very calm day. We don't have too many people, so it was perfect. But yeah, like I love. It was like, you know, medium-sized portrait. I do really quickly, and you know, I just really enjoy it. It was just one of those things where like I know it was meaningful, so it's like I, you know, have like lovely conversations with her and like with like her family. Like it was just one of those things where like for me, tattooing, it's like about that. It's about like the person coming and like sharing, whether it's their pain, their happiness, whatever. And usually when people are in the chair, right, like they start talking, right? They tell you their whole life story sometimes, and at the end, it's this whole like process of like they share what they want to share, what hurts them or what makes them happy or what brought them to you.
yeah,
And kind of in a way, you just like you can give them, you know, some suggestions, opinions, keep up the conversation, share your part too that connects with them. And I think like in a way you make this connection, and like that makes, I don't know, at least like I feel like in today's society, there's not a lot of platforms where people are truly can come and be heard and not be judged, unless you're like paying a therapist. But besides that,
besides that,
but like the day-to-day interaction, because I think that obviously internet had big impact on that, right? And like the way that we connect with each other. Right? So I think that having that kind of platform, like within our tattoo studio, like where for me, that's important. I think that if I can provide that as a secondary service, because for me, tattooing is a medicinal thing. You know, traditionally it was that way for like, you know, thousands of years before. So for me, that's like a big part of
part of like a ritual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for a lot of cultures.
Yeah. And also, I mean, from our space, we also run our nonprofit Intentions, where we offer free tattoos to trauma survivors. That's something we've been doing for like over a year, but also with my business partner. But now we have like an actual physical space as well within our studio. So we work with like all kinds of different traumas. That's different. That's like apart from our shop. But we do everything from like mastectomy tattoos to like domestic violence survivors, human trafficking survivors. Like we have a very, very long list, and it's kind of the same. Like we kind of record their stories. We do like small documentaries, and then like we do these tattoos for free. But usually they come with like, you know, a certain kind of background story, and it's supposed to be like transformational. So they really have to set the intention, think about what they want to get tattooed, why they want to get tattooed. But that concept kind of connects with like our general vision of the studio, because part of it can be something. There's situations where like there's like really sad, you know, experiences where I feel like it needs to be therapeutic and then money shouldn't be involved, which is why we created that nonprofit. And then there are obviously regular tattoo business. So they're kind of two different
How do you monitor people taking advantage of that?
Yeah, that's something we didn't think about when we started the nonprofit. And then like definitely it's something we ran into a few times. And it was just kind of like, well, we had to trust people's word, right?
Right.
But one of the things we do in that case, like we ask them to write their story. So like we'll be like, please, like, you know, tell us your story, why. So like reading their essays, because they're essentially essays, like you can kind of tell who's genuine, who's not. You want to believe everybody, right? But it's complicated because there's like been definitely gray areas where we're like, what do we do with this candidate, you know? But for the most part, like if somebody comes there and takes the time to do it, like you want to, you know, like
ChatGPT, write me ChatGPT, write me a heartfelt essay so I can get this free tattoo.
Speaking of which, so last week, it was on the show last week, I signed up for the free trial, or not the free trial, but the wait list for GPT-4.
Yeah.
I just got it yesterday. So it took almost an entire week for me to get onto the GPT-4.
GPT-4.
So
I had a few times this past week when I was using it where it was like slow and crashing on me.
Probably because so many people are trying.
So many people are using it at one time, but it is phenomenal. It is like my private assistant. I want to give it a name. The GPT.
we just don't have time to do these things anymore. We don't have time to write stuff. We don't have time to, you know, sometimes design. Also, a lot of my colleagues using, you know, not ChatGPT, but the other one.
The journey.
That's it. Yeah, like all of a sudden, all these like tattoo designs. I mean, like we don't have time. We're living in like a moment in history where nobody has time. So like if there's something that can help us and save time, that's great.
Yeah.
I refuse to use both of them, but okay.
Sometimes I do find that I waste just as much time creating prompts, doing revisions, getting the right image. I could have just picked one and drawn it.
Just draw it. I mean, it's like, I feel like a happy medium is where it's at, because I enjoy creating my own references more than looking through pages and pages of fucking Google to find something that like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I had in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to take it that way.
Pinterest.
Yeah.
Or Pinterest. Yeah.
That's why lately I've been talking about this all day today, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of other people drawing, just trying to figure out a way to speed up my process of learning how to draw better, faster, coming up with designs that I'm not relying so much on the reference, kind of like learning more anatomy and just instead of looking or making my own reference digitally, just doing it all up here. And
yeah,
that's kind of where my goal is right now.
I mean, I feel like the people that are the fastest are like comic artists. They can just think of like the perspective of a character, just draw it for you in just these simple blocks and make it look like boom, money. It's like, you're like, oh yeah, that's totally a dude holding a gun in this profile, you know, and all the proportions are right and everything's right for the kind of work that we do, because it's so kind of what we're talking about, it's kind of design, you know, almost to a certain extent. Sometimes if you're tattooing, 4 tattoos in a week, like how much time do you really have to sit down and like illustrate something fully and really, really get into it? It's like you want to try to like cut those corners just so you can get to the end result that you want a little bit faster, because you're going to have to do it like 4 other times that week.
Well, that's where I'm getting at. If you have that library in your head, then you don't have to take the time to look up your reference, start drawing it.
You start drawing it. Well, that's kind of what we talked about like a few weeks ago. We were talking about doing the homework, and of just like putting in the work or to just get better, because the more you do it, the faster you'll get at it.
So you said comic book artists. The guys that I think are most inspiring, as far as at least what I want to be able to do, are Disney artists.
Yeah, that's what I meant, actually.
Being able to take like those animals, just draw those animals in positions that they'll never be in, but make it realistic looking in a way too.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible. I mean, obviously it's a skill. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. But the reality is, like, with what we're trying to do day to day, like, we just don't have all the hours in the day to be able to fine tune some of these skills. And that's where it's very complicated. I have a big problem with design. I can spend anywhere from 1 to 8 hours per design. And that's like a very, very big issue in terms of time. And that's like, using references, not using references. Like, I will spend a really long time like looking for the references I need, drawing, redrawing. When I have time, I try to do it from scratch. But the reality, it's like, for me, like, I'll sometimes like either stay up all night drawing or wake up super extra even earlier to draw. And it's like literally like, I don't know. And I think that's one of the challenges I faced with Ink Master as well, because like I can't design fast. Yeah. I cannot design quickly. It takes me a really long time. I overanalyze absolutely every single detail of it. And I think that's really hard. I think that the most difficult thing is being able to make those decisions spot on when you're designing, and to really go with your gut and like, shut this off a little bit and just like draw. So I think that you're absolutely right. Like, when you draw intuitively, like from that library, it's easier to make those decisions faster versus when you're trying to put things together and you're using a lot of reference. It's very easy, whether it's, through Midjourney or whether it's through Pinterest or Google, whatever. It's very easy to get lost in the references of like, well, can I find a bear that's in a slightly better position that's going to be better suited for what I'm trying to draw or whatever. Yeah. And then like 2 hours later, you still haven't found the bear, and the first bear was the best bear.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that caricature we were talking about. I was like, man, I had a straightforward photo, but I wanted to do a profile. I was like, all right, I'm going to just draw this real quick. Yeah, just draw it,
The tattoo that I did today, I was actually thinking about, all right, let me try to design this in the 1 hour that you guys had on Ink Master and see how good I do. And after I had the whole thing drawn out and then had my line art made for the stencil, I felt pretty good about it. I was like, man, I did this pretty quick. And then I checked my statistics to see how quick it really was. It was 3 fucking hours. I was like, come on, bro.
You're like, damn, this actually took way longer. Show. It's crazy how fast an hour goes. Yeah. And then the part that I'm going to tell you this is put your lunch right there at the same time, bro. You got to chat on that lunch at the same time as you're trying to draw and get it ready to go. That was the hardest thing, because you're like, do I eat or do I just starve and just get this going?
Obviously starve.
Yeah, just starve, dude. Just starve.
Yeah, I would definitely fail at that big time. Bobby had that problem. It seemed like he was taking a lot of time to draw.
Yeah. He would always start late. He would always start late. But at the same time, sometimes, you know, like taking a little bit more time, like either doing a little bit of color rendering, will make your tattoo process go by way faster.
For sure.
Because then you're not making those decisions. So today I worked on a piece for a guy that came out from California, and he got a dragon serpent kind of mix, and it's based off of like a mythical creature in Filipino culture.
That thing was clean.
Thanks, man. The thing about this tattoo is it was actually a trade tattoo.
Okay.
So I started doing this with a few people. I have a content manager, and I had him reach out to influencers that have tattoos or want tattoos so we can trade for them creating cool, different content pieces for tattoos that are between like 2 to 3 hours. That's something that I will recommend to you guys. If you love to tattoo, but you hate creating content, maybe work with some content creators. Tell them, hey man, I'll tattoo you. Create a bunch of content for me. Go to people that know how to make that shit, make it cool, make it look really nice. How many tattoo videos look exactly the fucking same, dude? Yeah. Scroll through Instagram and it's just like the one that every tattooer is just going around the tattoo. I'm going to go real slow because I want you to see how crispy this thing is. And people are like, fucking boring, dude. I've seen like, you swipe and you're like, there's nothing else that's exciting here.
But what did this guy do? He didn't have a camera with him.
Oh yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Where was it?
He had it on a tripod.
The one that was sitting right over here?
Yep.
The lens cap on it all the time?
No, that's mine. Oh, okay. No, that's mine. He had one like here, and then this is the thing. You don't need to be recording the whole time. At times he was like, yo, I need to go shoot real quick. 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Sometimes less. I mean, and like sometimes when I create content, you know, like I'll shoot something for 10 seconds and the cut of that, it'll be 1.5 seconds. Because like when you're making a reel that's going to be maybe 10, 20 seconds long. Remember, the attention span when you're scrolling is 1, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So it's like quick changes. It's not like how a tattooer thinks. So like, oh, I'm going to stay in this one shot right here so people can really see this fully. No, you want the tease. You want the tease is going to be a slow, quick changes, and it's going to make people want to watch that video all over again to watch that thing. That's how you get replays, people. It's not just like, I gave it all away in that one long shot. Where's the replay value in that? There isn't any. They saw it all at one time. So if you got something out of that little bit, that's what I'll tell you. Make your videos a little bit shorter, faster changes, so people will have to replay it. And even better, they might have just touch the screen and hold it.
Yeah.
And that's going to increase how long that person stayed on that video and is going to make your video beat the algorithm and get more people to watch it. Things like that you learn by tattooing people that do that kind of shit. That's their job. That he's been doing that for a really long time. It's funny because I asked him like, how did you get into content creating? He's like, I just started blogging. And I'm like, well, like on YouTube? He's like, no, like in like 2012, 2013, I had a web page, like just a page, a website, which was it
Blogspot?
He was like, I don't know, but he had, you know, he was just blogging. And then as the internet grew and Instagram came out and all that stuff, then he just started, you know, changing his platform and everything like that. And that's what he does for a living.
Cool. Did he do vlogs too?
Now he does vlogs. And he said like that they're actually even simpler than before. He would just write, you know, like write and pictures and all that stuff. And now he's like, no, it's even simpler, dude.
Just walk around, right? Just walk
around, take a couple shots of what you're doing, what you look like that day, blah, blah, talk a little bit, done. All of us are tattooed and look like we do. You know, people they're going to watch.
Yeah. That was cool. It's funny too, because I feel like it wasn't that long ago where people made fun of those guys. We're like, oh, you know, give me a free tattoo. I'll make some content for you. Like,
yeah.
I'll shout you out on my page.
Yeah.
Like, no, fuck off. But now that's actually like a thing that people are doing now. And it's kind of credible.
Yes, absolutely. I think what's important to why it works to work with people that create content is because they're looking at it through the customer's eye. When tattooers make content, they create content for other tattooers. It's like embedded in our DNA to want to show our shit, how we're going to show it to like our buddies. Like, oh, check out this tattoo I did. And like people don't look at tattoos the same way. It's funny because like in Ink Master, for example, Joel looked at tattoos completely different than the other three, judges.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this and that. And he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I fucking like it, dude.
I'd wear that tattoo.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, dude. I like it. Everybody's like, what? But that's the truth, man.
Well, we're tattooers. We're communicating to ourselves out there on Instagram, and we need to think about like what our clients want to see. I mean, yeah, Joel was looking at it as a client.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd wear it. I wouldn't wear it. That's it.
Yes, that's it. It's like, either I like it or I don't like it.
I mentioned this a couple of times. I've been working with this guy who's helping me grow my social media page and get new followers and all that. And in the very beginning of our working together, he was like, who do you want to market to? Like, what's your goal for me working with you? I was like, I want to have clients. I want to be able to gain more clients, get more asses in the chair. I want to have more sales on my website with all my prints and everything. It's like, okay, cool. So this is who we're marketing to. We're marketing to the customer. And I do the exact same thing now, but I'm like, it's so hard for me to post something for the client. Like I always wind up talking to the other tattoo. Yeah. And this guy keeps emailing back. He's like, what are you doing, man? He's like, those guys aren't going to pay for tattoos. Like, well, maybe some of them will. He's like, no, that's not who you're trying to go for. I can't do it.
It's hard, dude. It's really hard. It's funny because like I see it all the time. Fucking Gabe is not here, but Gabe does it all the time. I'm like, Gabe, just make shorter reels. Just show your then I'll see it and it's just the slowest pace. Is like, look at this crispy line I did right here. You see how saturated this is? Clients don't know what the hell. Now they know what saturation means from like watching TV shows and things like that. But like, it's really not what they're looking for at all. They're like, it looks cool or it doesn't. Yeah. Done.
It's something different too. That's, it's like, it looks cool, doesn't, something different, something, something like or something like my cousin has, or.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And I think that happens with a lot of tours. They'll have a very big following. They'll have like 3-digit K, but then they don't get that many likes because it's like their colleagues are like, yeah, whatever, or they don't have that many bookings. Mm-hmm. And why? Because all your followers are other tattooers who are like looking at your page and trying to learn and not necessarily potential clients. Exactly. And that's a big issue I think big follower tattooers have sometimes.
Honestly, I'm starting to think that the amount of followers you have doesn't really matter anymore. It hasn't mattered for a long time, but the way that Instagram works now where honestly, I see more things from people that I don't follow than people that I do follow.
Oh shit.
It's just how it is.
Just recommended posts.
Recommendable. Even if I'm scrolling through my feed of people that I follow, there's always going to be like a suggested post in there from somebody else. But not only that, just like you go into the explore page, you see all that cool stuff. You click on the reels tab. It's all people you don't follow. Mm-hmm. I feel like the only times that I'm actually seeing things of people that I follow are the first few scrolls that I do. I'll see something cool. And then I'll find a reel of a suggested video. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll click on the video. And then everything after that is just suggested things based off of what I just watched. And now I'm just seeing a whole bunch of stuff that I've never
seen before. Yeah.
I don't follow.
Shit.
I don't know. I think that Instagram is not catered to people following you anymore. I just don't think that's going to be, it doesn't matter.
No, it's always been about one thing, keeping you on the platform as long as possible. They probably figured out at one point or another, like, oh, they're just like, if you show them this, that they're just going to just scroll, not comment, not say anything. But if you show them something that's going to trigger them, then they're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah. We are about an hour in.
Yeah, we're about an hour in. Cool. Do we have any new patrons?
We do. So every week when we have a new patron, which it seems pretty consistent, we've been getting new people every week.
Yeah, that's great.
We like to give a little shout out. So if you would like to support our show, head over to patreon.com/honest-tattooer and you become a patron of the show. It helps us out tremendously. There's a bunch of different tiers that you could choose. So this week we are giving a shout out to, look, my eyes are fucking shot now. Remco Gazan. Remco, thank you very much for joining on. We appreciate everything that you're contributing. And thank you to everybody else who contributes also.
Yeah, guys. And absolutely, if you've listened to this far, please hit this like button right now. Stop what you're doing. Hit the like button. Share this at least one fucking time for us. Come on. And drop a comment. It really helps a lot. We're trying to keep growing this platform and have more people find the podcast. So if you can, smash the like button as soon as you start watching this video. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Honest Tattooer. Thank you so much, Koral, for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
And for people, if people want to reach out to you for to either see your work or to reach out for your program or to come to your shop, what's the best way?
Through Instagram or through email. You can find my Instagram is Koral Tattoo, Koral with a K. And my studio Instagram is Fortune and Love Tattoo. And you can just follow the link in our bio or DM us, whatever, and set up appointment. Our studio is located on 5th Avenue and 35th Street. So come visit us. Our address is 375 5th Avenue. So we're on the 2nd floor.
Nice.
Very good.
What's that, Murray Hill? Technically Murray. I think it might be Murray Hill.
I don't know. Like it's across the street from the Empire State Building. That's the easiest way to explain it to people.
Yeah. Nice.
Murray Hill.
I think that's Murray Hill. Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.